The college student has always been near and dear to us. It's where I started from. I mean, the whole thing came out of my dorm room because I was pissed off about book prices and just decided to do something about it.
All right. Lights are flashing.
It was just an idea at the time. My parents told me that, you know, they had paid for everything else up to that point, so room and board and tuition and, you know, just everything else related to college. So my responsibility going into the second semester of my freshman year was to figure out how I was going to pay for all my books. So Buddy and I went down to the student union building kind of in the middle of the night. We tore down all the posters of all the books that people had up on the bulletin board, people who wanted to sell their books. I took all those posters and I put them into a spreadsheet in the Lotus 123, and you know, I was one of the only people on campus at that time that actually had their own computer in their own, you know, in their dorm room. I had this old IBM computer with a 10 meg hard drive, so I became kind of the real estate agent for books at Westchester. And it was a service that we tried to promote to the actual university bookstore, and they declined at the time, so we just started expanding our offerings, and next thing you know, I had books on top of my car in the middle of the campus, selling books that way. And then we did a buyback out of a U-Haul truck, and we had lines all the way down the sidewalks from students who really wanted to take advantage of something else than just the Monopoly on campus bookstore. And I've always been the type of person, I daydream ideas all the time, and I've always liked to think on a larger scale, but it is a little unsettling once in a while to walk into this warehouse and see all the books that are here, and to realize, man, you know, I literally started this out in a dorm room, and here we are.
In the back of my mind, I always thought that I'd really love to go into business with my sons. And I sit back and I say, you know, I'm really probably the luckiest guy in the world. The fact that the business has been successful and it's been growing is just sort of the icing on the cake in a way.
It's pretty cool to have something that I just dreamt up in a dorm room at Westchester University to turn into something viable that's actually providing for not only members of my family, but, you know, a bunch of my friends.
You know, my father and my brother have talents and they have strengths. They have vision for things that I'm completely blind to, or maybe just not as visionary as they are. You know, they just have some certain innate talents that I don't have. I have certain talents and expertise that they don't have. And they are wise enough and mature enough to recognize where I'm stronger in certain areas where they're weak. And so that's why we need each other.
We don't always get along, we don't always believe each other's rhetoric sometimes, but he's one of the most driven people I've ever met outside of myself. He's a maniac on the road. He has the ability to walk onto a campus and, you know, kind of put his finger up in the air and figure out whether or not there's books to be bought.
See if it doesn't pay dividends. Hello.
Hi.
One for each. I'm buying books all week long right behind Starbucks.
Oh, great.
And our prices will probably crush the bookstores pretty badly, but you have to see for yourself by comparing. So I dare you to compare.
Okay, thank you.
And video games too, we're doing video games. In every aspect of life, we reap what we sow. There's so many people that would never ever know about us, never know that we're there. That would end up with less money in their pockets if we were not dogged about getting out on campus, around campus, or in town where people are, to hand out those flyers, just to plant those seeds. But the only way to know for certain is to try us and compare, no pressure. And we're buying video games too.
Sweet. Thanks.
I started the winter before this past one, so this is my 5th school. And the school that I started at, they put up a series of signs leading up to me that said, "Not with the school, keep your books here." You know, pretty much made me the enemy, and that made my line an hour long. Everyone was like, "Yes, let's go to the enemy." Those years that are on the cover. Oh, okay.
This is my 2nd trip, about a week deep into Albany, having a great time. I think Penntext is about personal connection. It's about putting, getting our foot in a business that's been a monopoly probably since the beginning of universities. Like I don't know any other company that does something like this that competes with the school store.
You got 50 on that one.
When I was in Salisbury last term, the bookstore actually, they did something that they thought was going to be to their advantage, but actually proved to be a disadvantage. What they did is they put up a location across the street from us. And what that did was allow kids to compare prices, and our prices were always better than the bookstore, and so it just brought kids to us in droves.
We pay more for most of the books than the bookstores can afford to pay, and that there's a tremendous number of books that we will buy that the bookstores just won't be able to touch. And so we have our own advantages, and the key to competing and excelling is to let as many people know about what we bring to the table that the bookstores don't bring, and being good for our word.
You want to make the experience the best possible experience you can, given the circumstances. And let's face it, nobody really wants to buy books. A student, they don't really want to buy it. They have to buy it for their education. It's an investment in their education.
It's interesting because at the end of the day, this is one of the only markets I can think of where the end consumer has zero power over their buying decision. They have no power to control whether or not they're going to buy, Campbell biology book or Mater biology book. So there is way too much financially at stake for the students to have any power unless a company comes along and gives those students options, gives them power back to be able to have some say in what's going on and what books are being adopted for them and what they're being required to purchase. You're seeing a lot of students and families that are getting upset about the $150 math book. So they're electing to go out to the marketplace and to find the old editions of those books. So we're in a unique position because we do buy a lot of used old editions for books, and because we're trying to leverage technology and become a technology company that gives students and families the tools that are necessary for them to gain some of that power back